Hey, hey, hey! It's the first ever real estate marathon. I'm your host, Jas Takhar.
Lisa, thank you so much. You took the drive down.
I did, yeah.
Cannot tell you how much I appreciate that because you wanted to essentially share your story. And so let's talk about that. So
Sure.
Talk to me a little bit about your background, like where you went to school, what you did, and what you're doing now, and then we're going to talk about the real estate stuff. I want the marathoners to get to know you a little.
All right. So born and raised in Brampton. Actually, I went to school with Laura.
I won't hold that against you.
You won't? Okay,
Nope.
That's fine.
Nope.
You know what? She was really smart. So really smart,
I
really
don't know.
nice.
We don't know what happened. We don't know what happened along the way. Okay, continue.
Well, when we get older, weird things happen. So she's your fault now, or your problem now.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
So yeah, I grew up in Brampton, and then I went to Laurier for school, and then Guelph for school. So I have many, many, many years of schooling.
Can I ask what you did in school?
Yes. Biology and chemistry, and then a master's toxicology.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I like to always ask that because I want people to understand that it's not like you went to school for investing into real estate. You found a path to it.
Yeah, so growing up, it's not like there was a lot of extra money in the house. So, there was always budgets. And then when my parents had moved out of Brampton, rather than selling the place, they essentially refied, pulled the money out, and bought another place outside. And they kept that as a rental property. So I knew that rental properties were a good thing. And then once I went to school for a very long time and started to work, I felt like I was behind on my own personal investments.
Okay.
Because as a student, you're poor.
For sure.
So you know how to make a dollar stretch, just you don't know how to make it grow. So as soon as I finished school, it was 2008, and people didn't really want to hire people.
Sure.
Yeah.
How at that time?
Economically, it was kind of hard to get a job at that
Similar
time.
to now.
Yeah, like people coming out of school now, it would be very difficult. So there wasn't a lot of money coming in when I finished school. So, I just did jobs here and there and saved up, finally got a job. And the goal was once I started full-time work, clear my OSAP within 1 year. Because I felt with that debt, I can't do anything.
So what was a technique that you maybe used to save? I was joking a little bit earlier about I feel like the younger generation doesn't understand that. But so does even everyone who's older. Was there certain hacks that you did? Like for me personally, I've always paid myself first. That's just something that I've learned at a very young age. Like everyone will get their money, but after I get it first. So I get $1, I put 10 cents away. Till this day I do that, okay?
Yeah.
And so being self-employed, I also got to put away money for those CRA guys. Got to make sure that they get paid. And then whatever money I have left over, I pay my bills. What did you do? Because you paid off the OSAP in 1 year. That's rare that it happens like that.
Yeah, so I didn't pay myself nothing.
You paid off the ASOP first. Yeah.
Yeah, so, that was essentially the plan. It was whatever money came in, clear the Visa because you don't want a balance on there, make sure the car payment went out. And I looked at what was left and be like, what do I need for groceries? And the rest goes on OSAP. So like I said, as a student, you're used to living cheap.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm just going to keep living cheap because that's what I know how to do. And it's going to be harder to do that later.
I love it.
So that was the plan. And obviously it helped that James and I lived together at
What's
that
up, James?
point. My husband, is off in the corner over there. So we were able to do that. He worked full time, kind of took care of the household expenses, and all of my money went towards clearing debt. And once OSAP was gone, ironically enough, within a month, car payments were gone. So from there, I saved everything to get the first rental property.
Now, did you guys sit down at some point, I'm sure maybe before marriage, after marriage, during whenever it was, and set out this plan? Because I feel like a lot of people fail to plan, and then that's why they end up failing, right? And so, was there a plan, a certain conversation, a discussion that you guys had?
He always knew I wanted to do that.
Okay.
I was like, I want to get a rental property. And he's like, okay.
I love it.
He's like, all right,
Very
let's
supportive.
get a rental property.
Yeah, let's do it.
So then it's like, how do we do this? So we started to look at properties and values in the Kitchener area. And we just kind of planned out. And our real estate agent at the time was like, you can do this in 3 months. You just have to come up with X amount. And considering I had been saving whatever I could, which
Right.
wasn't very much, it essentially was 3 months of me living off my husband.
That's
He
awesome.
wasn't my husband at the time, but it was
Yeah.
like, I was like, can I have $20 for gas?
Well, he was investing in the fact that you were going to marry you.
Yeah.
I'm sure that had a lot to do with it,
No,
right?
marriage we pushed off. We didn't
Got
want
it.
to spend money there. I'm
Got
like,
it.
that's a lot of money. I
That's true.
can't. Yeah.
Invest into a property with
Yeah.
what weddings are costing these
Yeah.
days.
So let's get a rental property before having a marriage.
So what was that property?
It was a condo in Kitchener,
Okay.
not far from the Kitchener Auditorium. So location-wise, pretty good, right by the highway.
Mm-hmm. Now, at that time that you guys was you obviously were because your parent your I think it was your mother who did it first. You mentioned because I
Yeah,
just kind of
my
know the
parents,
backstory.
yeah,
Your
mom and
parents,
dad.
okay, mom and dad. So you weren't were you as scared as maybe some of the other guys that have been gals that I've been speaking about, or you were quite confident at that time?
I was pretty confident
Yeah.
in knowing it needed to get done.
Got it.
Just because I've heard my mom say so many times, like, that rental property can save our bacon. Because, like, at a certain point, my dad went and started his own business.
Okay.
So when you start to do that, it takes time to grow your base, your
Mhm.
clientele. So that was always a safety blanket for them. So I knew I needed a safety blanket. I don't know what it was for. I needed one.
I love
But I also needed to think long term because I had no RSPs. I
Right.
had no long term savings because I was a student
Right.
and I was poor.
Right. So now I know you're looking at different ways to grow your portfolio. Why don't you share with the marathoners, like, what are you looking at? What excites you in the investment world, the real estate investment world?
What excites me? So obviously pre-construction, they're
Right.
fun.
You've
They're
done a couple.
addictive, yeah.
What did you like about that process? Because you and I had a long conversation with Laura and as well with James as well, where you weren't sure to do it. If I go back to that, like if you were looking at that type of strategy, what made you get into it, and then now it becomes addictive?
I always heard that you can do well in pre-construction. But I didn't realize I knew someone that could help me with that.
Right.
So it was like, oh yeah, everyone does well in pre-construction, but I don't know how to get there.
Getting
So-
early on access to
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
Got it.
So part of it was realizing that I actually do know someone that can help me in that avenue. And then the other part was obviously investing in the GTA can seem daunting because of the price point. Like my condo in Kitchener, I bought it at $160.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So actually, I just sold it because I wanted
How
that.
much did you sell it for, if you don't mind me asking?
This is a funny story,
Okay.
but I did sell it for $300,000.
So you bought it
So-
for 160.
Yeah.
And sold it for 300.
I did, and that wasn't a good performing asset.
Well, you say that because you were putting money into it monthly. And was that based on the maintenance fees going
it
too
was-
high?
Yeah, so it was a combination of long-term tenants, so I
Got it.
couldn't up the rent
Got
to
it.
market rents.
Okay.
And on top of that, whatever I was increasing it by, the condo fee was increasing faster than what
Right.
I could increase my rents.
Right.
And as I'm learning, maybe a place with a pool, not a good investment. People are like, oh, look at all the amenities. It's like, no one uses that.
No one
so
uses
it's a waste
it.
of money.
It's 100%.
It's a waste of my money.
Exactly. And it's exactly that because it costs so much to upkeep it,
Yeah.
right? Upkeep it. Now, and so I know you're also looking at duplexes now.
Yes.
And so where's that, like, what made you say, okay, you know what, I want to start shifting? Because I believe you should. I mean,
Yeah.
you've done a couple of pre-constructions
I did.
very, very recently with us, and I appreciate the support, but I actually think now, no more. Until we actually close on a pre-construction on one of them, then I do think you should diversify. And so I love that fact that you're thinking about diversifying. But why duplex? Why not maybe triplex or multiplex? Just kind of a thought process I want to get from you.
So with duplex, and I suppose you can make the argument for triplex and
Yes.
multiplex, it's cash flow.
Yeah.
Being self-employed, having that additional cash flow will help me grow. I want to stay away at the moment from triplex and multi just because, heaven forbid, I need to offload an asset.
Right.
Duplexes will sell faster. So they're a little bit more liquid.
Because you can sell it to somebody who's going to be an end user and
Yeah.
maybe rent out
Yeah.
the downstairs or vice versa. So I love the fact that you're thinking like that far ahead, but I also enjoy hearing that you're very self-aware. And I had Darren Voros on earlier, and he was speaking about just being self-aware with what you're okay with and what you're not okay with. Right? So knowing that, you know what, I'm not going to do a multiplex, because a lot of people think that's the most sexiest investment, and it's like, that's what I want to do, but they never actually pull the trigger. Where you're saying, you know what, I'm going to scale it back a little, do what I'm comfortable with, right? And so in terms of growing your team, again, put us aside, because I'm very conscious about all the marathoners watching, thinking this is an REC thing. I want them to understand that, like, you're very charismatic. I got that from the first time we met, but damn, did you take that to another level today, coming here live.
You probably regret asking me to
Are you nuts? I should have had you on all day with me, because we would have been dancing a lot more.
Probably.
And the marathoners want to watch me dance, I'm sure. But in terms of that, like, look, at the end of the day, like, we all have our uniqueness and all that kind of stuff, but we're all just people. We all breathe the same air. We all put our pants on one leg at a time, and that's what we all do. And you took action. And you've taken action very recently, twice, like in the last 30, 45. 3 times.
I bought the bungalow to Duplex.
Oh my God, I didn't even
I know, I'm shitting my pants, but it's exciting. I'm shitting my pants.
So when does this close?
On the 24th
Okay.
of August.
24th of August. Are we taking over tenants or no?
No.
Vacant?
Vacant.
Great.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
I love that. Where is it exactly?
Kitchener.
Kitchener?
Like 10 minutes from my house. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. August 20.
4th.
So have you started to put some like phantom ads out for tenants?
No, because I need to duplex it. So it's a bungalow and I need to add the basement suite. So I've been looking for contractors
Okay.
to, so I'm going through the learning of the budget, what's involved, what trades are hard to get
Yes.
at a time of COVID, like
Yes, it
finding
is.
someone to do concrete work.
Okay. And have you worked out the numbers? Have you worked out the numbers from the perspective of like what it would cost to carry now until you get like it actually all the work, the renovations done and stuff like that?
Yeah, it'll be
Okay, good.
about $3,000 a month.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
okay. And you're okay to cover that. You're
Yes.
comfortable there.
Because I sold, so I have that buffer. So I'm
Got
like,
it.
I have the money to learn.
Love
It doesn't
it.
mean I want to mess up,
Right.
but it makes me sleep at night.
I didn't even know you closed on this bungalow. I love the fact that you were doing the other two and you were still closing on the bungalow.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, James?
I'm all in.
He's all in. He says, for anybody who can't listen, see what starts to happen. It gets addicting. Why? Because you actually get to see this happen. You see values go up. Our girl Lisa bought something for $160,000 and sold it for $300,000. I know maybe that we could have rented it for a little bit higher, maybe been in a better building, but at the end of the day, where can you buy something for $160,000, rent it out, have somebody else pay the mortgage down, and then sell it for $300,000? It's why it becomes addicting. Now, Lisa, I want you to talk to the marathoners. How do we help them get over this? How do we help them get over the fear?
I think it's more better directing your fear. My fear was not being able to retire. So to me, it was more scary not to make some strategic moves now.
Okay.
It was more scary to just sit and watch my RSP and TFSAs not do what I needed them to do. Like if I started investing when I was 16,
Right.
I'm sure I would have a lot more capital to play with. But, you know, like I said,
We've
I was
heard that.
late to the game. I went to school
Yes.
for a long time.
Yeah, but now you say you're late to the game. We have so much time, right? Like you still have 3 more lives to live, right? And so
Yeah, but if I do nothing,
Agreed.
next thing you know, time flies, right?
Agreed.
So that was so if you're scared,
yeah,
what are you more scared of? That's the question.
regret. I hope it's regret.
See, and I live by Madonna's motto.
What's that?
No regrets.
Oh God, I love that. I love that.
Yes,
It's why I said to everyone, it's why we should have had Lisa on all day with Jazzy. Maybe Marathon too. Lisa's going to be spending a lot more time with us here explaining. I love what you said, direct the fear. Direct the fear, because you would have had possibly regrets. Think about that. Begin with the end in mind. where do you want to be? In when you're 85 years old, what do you want to be thinking about? Are you going to be regretting it? If you're much younger, 20, 25 years old, I implore you to go spend time with somebody who's 80, 85, and 90 and find out some of their regrets. You don't want to have those. I'm not talking about just investing in real estate. I'm talking to people who want to start a business even. Get started. You don't have to do it full time. You could do this part time. You can start out a side hustle. You can start to learn how to invest into real estate. How did you start getting more and more education about real estate investing? What mediums did you use? So for me personally, I'm all audiobooks.
Right.
Because again, for all the marathoners that were on with me since the start, I talk about net, no extra time. So I can drive for an hour to work, drive an hour back home, and now I can divulge a book, generally speaking, within 3 days. I also learned how to 2x the speed of Audible.
Okay, yeah.
And so it's starting to feel like it's like regular speed for me, and so I'm able to divulge a lot of books that way. But that was the medium that I use. What did you learn? Like, how did you learn?
Well, I guess it's first being aware of the market that you're in. And my husband says the more stress I get with work, the more my real estate ADD kicks in. So it's like I should be working on files where it's, like medical research. It's like I should be concentrating on lung transplant research, and here's me on like MLS, talking to like realtor.ca, and I'm like, hey, come see this place. He's like, we're not buying. So that's
what he says now, but he's gonna end up buying.
Yeah, no, he's gonna be on it. And my business partner is actually the same way. So we'll get stressed about deadlines, and then we're on the phone having business meetings, and he's like, oh yeah, here, go to the commercial, and he's like, maybe this building. So I have like enablers. So outside of my enablers, I actually.
Is another neighbor.
Yeah, the last thing I need is another enabler. Continue.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you sold a property. I'm curious. Why did you end up selling that property?
Because I felt like it wasn't the best performing asset, and because I wanted to grow. My goal originally, I just pulled out of my ass, was 10 doors in 10 years.
Okay.
And then I was like, this particular condo in Kitchener is not going to help me get there.
Okay.
It will, but at a slower rate. And I just thought that money could be used in a better place. So I decided I would sell it. I had tenants, like, they were at least $500 a month under market rent.
Okay.
So, and the condo fees kept going up. There was special assessment that happened. I had to pay that. And I'm just like, you know what? If this is where I want to get, I think I could use that capital in a better place.
Yeah, I think $500 is like negative.
Yeah.
That's too big. I use the term like it's bleeding too much, right? I don't mind $100 negative, especially with the conversation I had with the accountant earlier. Like, you can use that as a write-off, right? And so here's the other thing, like, if you and I might spend a lot more at a bar. I'm getting to know you a lot more. But if the average two people, if they go to a bar, and I was calling you above average in all senses, you would spend a lot more than $100 just over lunch and a couple of drinks. But I hear so many people complain about the $100 that they're spending to just pay towards their investment property go from the left pocket to the right pocket because
Just pass me the water.
Because we're not looking at the full picture of an investment. $100 negative is $1,200 at the end of the year. Let's call it $5,000 at the end of 5 years. But if it's appreciated $300,000 from $160,000, you got to look at that full picture, in my opinion. So when you're at $500, that is a big negative.
But this is just an example.
Yes.
I bought that not knowing anything.
Yeah, I know.
Like looking back, it's like strategically, I would never have chose that property.
Right.
But even at that, 8 years later, I now have capital that I can play with somewhere else because I chose to sold it.
Awesome.
Sell it, yeah.
I gotta ask you a question because I don't know when I'm gonna get to you to ask it. Like, in terms of the marathon and all the agenda, everything we had on the agenda, was there something that we could have added, from your opinion? Because you're now like, you're not a newbie investor. So like, I wanna try to bring more value the next time around. And I just know you shoot it straight.
Mm-hmm.
You don't hold back, and so I love that. And I'm a big boy, I can handle constructive criticism. From that perspective, any feedback? in terms of speakers and topics.
So I feel really bad. I didn't watch all of it.
Well, okay,
My
that's
1.5 year old requires time when he's awake. So I didn't get to watch it all. I'm
Right.
sorry.
Not at all.
I think an important piece of information would be taking people through what should be in tenant agreements and what shouldn't,
I love
how to better
that.
protect yourself.
Yes.
And I don't know if did you have someone who's kind of like a duplexing guru about where is it worth investing? Someone's waiting.
Oh, that's fine. Don't worry about
Oh,
the
you
label.
are. Are we having wine later?
Yeah, we probably are. Oh, yeah, he's a duplex. Yeah,
Yeah.
property management and stuff like that. Yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe that type of information, because if
Okay.
people are going to get into real estate investing,
Yes,
unless they're selling
right.
or purposely assigning, they're going to have to deal with tenants. So how do they protect themselves? Because it can be difficult.
I totally agree. It's why we're also going to put you in touch with Douglas Levitt's team. I did have him on. He did speak about the new Bill 184, but he specializes.
Oh, I did want to see. I wanted to see that, but I wasn't.
Blame the 1.5-year-old always. Just
I know. He's cute, but
I'm sure he is.
Oh,
And so I do want you to leave our marathoners with a tip, Lisa. I can't tell you how much fun I had with you. I can't wait to do this again. We are going to go a lot longer next time.
Okay.
But talk to me and talk to the marathoners. Let's leave them with that one tip. Get them moving. Get their ass moving.
Okay, 2 tips. I'm going to reiterate. Number
That's just
1,
why I love you already.
redirect your fear.
I asked you for 1
I
and
know,
you got
you're
me
getting
2.
2.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
So yeah, redirect your fear. What are you really scared about? Because real estate can be forgiving even if you don't make that good of a decision, just hold it. So redirect your fear. And then number 2 is set a goal and a timeline.
Ooh.
So personally, while I have my 2019 tax return, I gotta buy as much as I can.
Yes.
Because I spent a lot of money last year, so I
Right.
need to use that to my advantage.
Yes.
So, that's my short-term goal. But if you're just getting started, it might be, in the next 6 months, you want to close on your first property. Or within the next year, you want to close on your first property. But just set your goal and set a timeline to it. Because if you don't set a timeline to it, it doesn't mean anything.
I hope everyone got the pattern with all the speakers and all the guests today. Not one person really spoke about how they were ever going to do it. They all spoke about their why, and they all spoke about what they wanted. The how they realized just appeared. I hope you guys got that pattern. It's the what and the why. Focus all your time on that. The how will always appear. I promise you. I guarantee you it. The how will always appear. Lisa, I love you.
I love you too, Jesse.
You're just awesome. Your energy, it's awesome.